How's it going, everybody? Welcome to a brand new episode of Crypto Clout. I am your host, FaZe Crypto, and today I would like to discuss Holochain. Of course, Bitcoin currently now trading at around the $6,300 level. Nothing's really changed there. We've seen Bitcoin sort of hovering around that $6,000 region for quite some time, and today I would really like to discuss some of the broader implications of the current situation that we've been seeing. Going to be pointing out a bunch of different articles here that are pretty much the writing on the wall of where we can expect to see a lot of the financial aspects of the global economic slowdown that we've been seeing, and sort of how we could see Bitcoin emerging from this. When it could mean pretty good signs, pretty bullish indicators, and I think that that's part of the reason why we've seen Bitcoin's price manage to sustain itself right here. After the sort of saw, there was mass panic, and of course there's multiple different variables that could go into that, and I want to talk about that as well. But of course we have multiple states seeking $100 billion in bailouts, big word there, amid corona sort of woes. And this is interesting. The stability of state governments was called into question this week as 4 states sought $100 billion in federal bailouts. Now, of course, remember, Bitcoin was born during 2008, and what did we see happening around that same time? It rhymes with bailouts. It actually is something to do with that same sort of situation. I mean, of course, we have to remember the current situation that we're seeing, and I think I see a false comparison that people are often making between what's currently happening. There's a difference between a global sort of crisis that we see happening now, causing the economic turmoil, versus something along the lines of what happened in 2008. And I think that there are a lot of false equivalencies that are rather unfair. And if we look at it through that lens specifically, and it limit our perspective to that, then I think that we'll go down the wrong road. But still, at the same time, I think that it's important to look at these things through a fair lens. But of course, flight to investors seek shelter in U.S. dollar and Bitcoin. They want liquidity. So 2 of the best performing currencies since March 12 markdown have been the United States dollar and Bitcoin. In times of economic turmoil, investors shed riskier assets and acquire less volatile ones. This is known as flight to quality. This happened in 2008 when the global demand for the U.S. So it will be interesting to see how these things share out, and of course how a lot. So can't lock down Bitcoin. Trump sort of ponders halting stock trading, grounding U.S. passenger flights. So things are sort of still grinding to a screeching halt. I mean, we have seen a lot of progress made, but still believe that the worst is yet to come. A lot of businesses, really a global correction happening on a massive scale. Of course, Bitcoin will require a long time to heal itself. However, according to this article right here, which is also interesting, the crypto breakdown over the past week mirrored the get out of everything panic that dominated all asset classes, which in part is sort of, in my perspective, a silver lining, because Bitcoin's being taken seriously more so, I would say, now, and it's starting to be seen as, it acts similar to the way that we see the adult sort of mainstream classes. So it does show us in a light how Bitcoin has developed in its reputation over a certain amount of time, but at the same aspect, that does bring other concerns which are more worldly, and sort Bitcoin out of its underground sort of what we've all enjoyed, it being sort of an internet fad, and now sort of becoming something that mom and pop sort of talk about. But anyways, I want to talk about Holochain now. I want to talk about the future of the internet, because there are plenty of things happening behind the scenes that I think that people fail to recognize, that are sort of being swept under the rug, while a lot of the media is being dominated by the talk about the headline sort of stuff that needs not to be mentioned questioned any further. What we need to talk about is the preserving the future of the internet. And I think that peer-to-peer, agent-centric, the sort of human interest sort of centered holochain perspective. I think people get distracted when it comes to cryptocurrency, and they get wrapped up in a conversation that's entirely blockchain centric, when I think that we need to think outside of the blocks in that sense. And when we want to talk about the recent breakthrough that we saw happening, quantum computing, there is a looming challenge to the Bitcoin sort of encryption that I think is going to be interesting. I mean, I'm not going to knock Bitcoin in the short term. I think we will see some renewed interest in Bitcoin, especially there is this widespread panic that's currently happening, but I think that it is important to talk about and give voice to something like Holochain. But crypto hedge fund goes belly up after Bitcoin price dropped to 3.8K. That was very important. Bitcoin price did not crash 60% due to the pandemic, says Binance CEO. So this I really want to give some time to. So of course, in 2008, there wasn't a pause in the global economy due to a pandemic, but I believe this is the trigger, not the cause. Our economy should be stronger, at least strong enough to survive some shock. It is important. Is it a safe haven? All these relevant sort of things. But of course, payment provider NetSense, readies cryptocurrency card for launch, which is also fairly bullish. But yeah, definitely interesting. As the crisis worsens, Bitcoin will become a safe haven again, which is sort of relevant to what we've been talking about. I wanted to point that out. But in that interest, I want to play this. The Bank of England, Andrew Bailey just said that he's willing to print unlimited quantities of money and pump it into the economy. So I think that that's a bullish advertisement for Bitcoin if I've ever seen one. Let's give it a listen.
And then sort of trying to give you a view on where we go to. So one part is where this whole debate started with, which is sort of so-called crypto assets of the Bitcoin variety. Now, they are in no sense, there's no guarantee of the value of Bitcoin. I've said publicly, because we were concerned about it, I'd like to actually think it was quite a good example of the FCA acting promptly. If you want to buy Bitcoin, be prepared to lose all your money. If you want to buy it, fine, but understand what you've got. It has no intrinsic value. It may have extrinsic value, but it has no intrinsic value. That's one thing. The debate's really, and it, it hasn't caught on much as what people sort of predict it would in the sort of slight early.
So definitely interesting, information there. Could be foreshadowing of what is yet to come. But anyways, Holochain, more human internet, HOT price will increase according to this article. And I am inclined to agree with it. I think that as things move forward, and especially, all these other things aside, as we see crypto coming into its own, being taken more seriously, we will see, rather bullish sentiment, in the markets, and I'm looking forward to it. But of course, remember, this video is for entertainment, educational purposes only. No, I'm not your financial advisor. I'm not your dad. Make sure that you do your own research when it comes to these things. It is a high risk, high volatile market, and remember to do your own due diligence, because I'm not going to do it for you. Anyways, so our top performers of the day, we've got Swipe, IOST, Nervous Network, Digibyte. Definitely interesting to see Digibyte up there, and Bitcoin Cash. So, I mean, the world keeps on spinning, regardless of what happens. Just for me personally, I think that what I find important is just stack sats. Hopefully everybody out there is staying healthy. Now, I do care about everybody who watches this channel. I hope all of you are taking care of yourselves. Hopefully things start getting better soon, and we can, people can get back to work. The wheel in the sky can keep on turning. We'll see how these things go. But that's all for now. Other notable, other notable ones. We've got you know, obviously more just general stuff about slowing, economic slowdown. Banks helping people buy Bitcoin is also interesting. And yeah, so all that being said, I hope you guys have enjoyed this video. Make sure that you subscribe, comment down below, and I'll see you guys next video. Have a good one.